Okay, guys. Let's get into the setting of the altar. However, going over what I was going to talk to you about, and again, I'm going off of the Master to Student book. And thank you very much for everyone who did purchase the book. YouTube, I know you're on YouTube. You probably see me on YouTube, but I actually have a private teachings, and so if you want to be part of that, just get in contact with me. We can work something out. In giving some of these tools already, like the circle and a little bit the table, I realize that you may not understand why we do this. So if I may, let me put the book down just for a second and explain why we do what we do. Okay, let me set this up right quick. In one word, relationship. We do, and when I say we, I'm talking about those who feel the calling, the unction, the pressures of wanting to get with a spirit to assist, to guide, to have a relationship. All altars are based on a host to a guest relationship. Okay? Let's examine this. Let's look at this picture right here. This is a picture of a setting of an altar. Contrary to belief, it's a dinner setting. Could be a dinner. Yeah, it's a dinner setting, but it's an altar at the same time. The reason it makes it an altar is because of why it's set up. Why it's set up is because there's a host who set up the table in the manner that it is, in relations to the guest that they're anticipating to come. In this context, we have tools. The tools in this context is the left, the fork, the right, the knife, the spoon, the plates in the center, the two different types of plates. You got different glasses on the above that to the right. That is required. This setting is required even if you're just having your first date. If you go to a restaurant, if you go to an event, when you have a host and that host is anticipating a guest, there are certain requirements in the setting of the event, that there are certain tools that must be presented. If you invite me to your house for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I guarantee you there are certain tools on a table that's being presented. It's going to be either a fork, a spoon. It can be a fork, spoon, and knife. It can be whatever. But I guarantee you there's going to be a plate or bowl. And there's going to be a cup. Because those are the tools that one needs, because I'm flesh. You are the host and you're inviting flesh. Okay? There are certain tools in the same setting that we can call an altar. we have certain tools that all altars are required to have. And once you place your tools, and again, the tools itself may be different from, let's just simply classify it as elegant location, a country location. Not to say neither one is right or wrong or better. No, it's the fact that the opportunity to present a tool. I can have a silver knife. I can have a gold knife. Because I can provide a gold knife, does that make it better than a silver knife? No, but it really depends on the guest that's coming. Silverware is for elegant, okay? Goldware is for elegant. Two plates is for elegant. Two plates and a bowl. One cup versus 2 cups versus 3 cups. Tools, that is there. Okay. In this context, when you have your tool on your table, which is all basic, it's a tool that represents for you on your table. When you have that, then you can decorate it. Sometimes it's towards the season. Sometimes it's towards the relationship between the host and the guest. It's let's go back to the picture, shall we? It's decorations. Look to the left of the cups. You see decorations. The type of decoration is a seasonal thing. Look behind the cups. You see evergreens and some bulbs on it. It could be holidays. I see some angels on those bulbs. So that tells me that could be a time of Christmas. Or it could be a Wiccan or a witch time of season. It could be what it is. It's decoration. You're setting the table, and sometimes after you put your tools, you put decoration because you're inviting a guest and you want your guest to look at your table because your table represents you. Taking time to build a table, which we call the altar, is a representation of you, the host. Okay? Let's look at another one. Here, different setting, different purpose, same guest, host. Okay? The host here set up a table and drape some very nice material over that table. The symbols on it has a representation, okay? But there are certain things that the host setting this table knows that it should have. And as somebody who, okay, we know, look at here, you have 2 greater lights, one on the left, one on the right, and then in the center is representation of the God. The one on the right and one on the left is a representation of male and female. The outer lights, candles, is a representation of the guards of the spirits within that table. And then the lesser lights that you see of the smaller candles, that represents the smaller ranking spirits. So if you think about it in this context. If a king or a president decides to come to your house, you have to set the table not just for the president and their mate, the God that rules over all of the presidents and the mates. Then you also have, in America, we call them secret services. You have to have a placing for the secret services. Those are the two lights on the right and left. Then you have others like secretary, records, photographers, reporters. You have lesser lights. That's represented on the lesser lights on the table. So if you look at it in this context, this is an environment. The host understands we're calling a very special guest. It's a table. It's just a table, but the table has enough room for all the guests. You have male, female, God of the male and female, God, male and female. Let's look at the president. The security people on the outer perimeter, the lesser spiritual people in the lesser positions, but around within the table. And then you have the book. Sometimes it's a book with words already written. Sometimes it's a book that you have prepared writing, or a book that you're ready to write when you receive a message. Okay, everything else outside of that, everything else outside of what I just expressed is decoration. You got the two flowers, very beautiful. You got the two books on each side on the table. That's the representation of self, the house, if you will. The house rules. Sometimes the books, sometimes it's this. The center book is the book of communication. Sometimes, like I said, it's pre-written and they'll just read it. Sometimes it's there. Okay. The outer side of the table, you see the two lights? Those represent the bigger side of the angels of protection. In this context, the host here represents the two lights outside the table as disciples, the spirits of the disciples. So as you see, an altar just has tools. It's just tools. It's just a table. It's just cloth. It's just candles. It's just flowers. It's just smaller candles. And it's very beautiful to me, but also to the host. And I say it's beautiful because who am I to judge the host setup? You don't go to somebody's house or go to an event and say, this table setting sucks. You don't do that. You respect everybody's position as a host. The difference is sometimes the host may call a guest that you may feel uncomfortable with. And that is absolutely normal. And may I say, take that heed if you're uncomfortable. So the best thing to do is look at the table setting and say, that is a very beautiful table setting. But we ain't involved in the rituals. We're not talking about that, but I'm just saying that's there. So that's one table. Let's go to another table. Here's another setting. It's a different type of altar for a different type of host and guest setup, right? But it's the same thing. Let's look at it just real fast. You have on the top right of the table, You have a male and female. The clear candle is the male. The smaller white candle is the female. The center is the representation of their gods, or in this context, energy. The ultimate energy that is over the male and the female. Okay? Then you have the on the table the little lesser candles, which represents the lesser of those who are invited to the table. So the host recognizes the energy that she is symbolizing within the God position to the male and female. Okay, she recognizes that the energy, she's welcoming all the lesser ones that's associated with the male and female and the God figure. The placing of it, you have the decoration, which is the feather. Look at the bottom center of the table. You see a feather. Then to the left of the feather, you see little stones. The bigger stone to the left of the white clear candle, the male candle, that's a representation of the type of energy that one is looking for. Okay, the lesser rock that's in front of the male female figure of the God figure is still the same color, the same type of rock, for the expression of the same energy that is being presented from the God figure from the male and female side of it. The other rocks, minor energy to the right of that. Then you have the bigger security light. Those are the ones outside of the table, but still part of the table, surrounding the male and female figure and God figure. Those are the security ones. And then the decoration on the left with the nice, beautiful flowers. Very simple, very nice, different than the other table that we saw, but still the same. When you understand what you understand about altars, doesn't matter what religion. It can be Christian, it can be Wiccan or witch, it can be whatever. That we all know about certain tools that must be placed. Now, somebody might ask, who told all y'all about the dang tools? And that must be setting. Listen. Let's bring it back to earth. If you had the opportunity to be invited to go to a 4 or 5 star restaurant, you have to realize that the host is hoping you figure it out. And so therefore, there are, in today's time, but even back then, there are writings that one could read to help you understand the setting. If I was inviting you to a 4 or 5 star restaurant, this book would be different, but it will say, dress. Oh, this is how you dress accordingly. This is what you're supposed to wear. This is what you're not supposed to wear. This is how you're supposed to sit. This is how you're supposed to hold that. This is how you enter. This is how you sit. This is how you leave when you have to go to the restroom or something to that effect. It's detailed. There are books out there. Now we have video, and if you need to know how to go to a 4 or 5-star restaurant, you'll look on a video and say, please teach me etiquette. You need to understand ethics, the etiquette of being a guest to a host who understands it, because they set the table up. Now, switch it. If I'm a host and I know I want to communicate with a God, a Lord, my guardian angel, the spirit world, there are writings that teaches you this, teaches you these things. The very famous one, and the one it's a go-to, is King Solomon's writings. It's the King Solomon's writings that teaches us the etiquette of the event. Okay? So, in saying all of this, let's look at, let me go here. Here we go. Let's look at some of the tools. So in the book, I talk a little bit about the table and candles, colors, salt, incense, stones, circle, time and season. Then I go into the different types of prayer. But in this picture, let's look at this picture. This is a different type, but there are certain things that are tools that represent settings. God candle. On the other side, on the top right, goddess candle. In the center of the two candles is the God plant, or the God symbol. Okay. Then you have the fire element, which is a representation of this type of spirits. You can have a chalice, water, a knife, earth element. So these are just the basics. Just the basics. So if I was to get my book and I will say, okay, I need on my table, I need a table. I need to put candles. What kind of candles? I need a candle that represents male and female and a God. What God do you, or the male and female, what God do you serve? The light. So if you serve the light, then wouldn't it be beneficial to have a light? Unlike the Catholic, I say Catholics, but it's really Christians. Unlike that beautiful altar that has the cross in the center. Let me go there, because I know. You see right there? So let's look at it. Male, female, God center, God figure center. In this context, that's the cross with Yahshua in the center. Okay, so that's the God figure. So you got, let's go back. God candle, goddess candle, God figure. Then you have the fire elements. Okay, what's the fire elements? Let's go back to this one. The fire elements are the outside lights that represent the protectors or the guarders or the guardians of that male, female, God light. Okay. So you can put one fire element, or you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 fire elements. It doesn't matter, but you just need candles. Okay. Color. It's a color representation. Now, this one here, the Christian one, has beautiful red and white. It's seasonal. Unlike the other one has the color of the stones. Unlike the other one has the decoration color of the seasons, right? So it's unique color. Okay. So that's for the circle. We talked about the circle a little bit, so I'm not going to get into that. Incense. Something that you really don't see here is incense. But incense are representation of air element. It's an air element. Let's go back Do we have an incense? Typically, Christians in this level have an incense somewhere. I don't see it, and maybe I don't see it because of the holiday altar style. So probably not an incense there. Nope, I don't see it. Okay, so anyway, you have water. Sometimes you have water, but again, it's the host. The host dictates the guest. The guest dictates the table setting. And then time and season. So in this context, let me clear out of this here. In this context, all we're really talking about is table, color, salt, incense, stone, circle, time and season. You can have all of that, and you can make it absolutely beautiful on the table. But the truth of the matter is this. The altar that you may or may not have but want means absolutely nothing if you don't have a relationship with the guest. An altar without the guest is a table that's decorated. That's all it is. Look at this table right here. If you take away the decoration and just change the decoration, and there's no guests coming, it's a beautiful table setting. And the host may look at this and say, it's a beautiful, and it represents this, 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 and this. But it's not there just to represent. It is not there just to have it sit there. It is not there just to... You can have a full-time altar, meaning you can have it there all the time. But if you're not utilizing it within that host and guest's relationship position, it's just decoration. So, why do we have what we have? It's for a relationship. Thus, in the book here, after you build your altar and you know you need certain tools, set it up how you see fit. But if you need references of settings, just go on, do some searches and look at some placements. And for example, you may have something very similar to this. Do we have a table? Yes. Do we have candles? Yes. Do we have color? Yes. Do we have salt? Yes. It could be the rock salt that she's probably have there. Incense? No, but we don't need it if she doesn't need it. Stones? Yes. Circle? She might. It's just not being shown here. Time and season. Could you tell me the time and season? Yes, because of the flowers. It's a beautiful, beautiful table. Just as much as this one is beautiful, beautiful table. But they're both beautiful tables. Decoration. If there's no relationship. Okay? So, it is nice to know that you can have a table. It's nice to know you know what's on the table. It's nice to know how now to look at other tables. But don't start the process until you have an idea of whom you're going to have a relationship with. And if you're at loss in who to have a relationship with, look at the rankings. We have a God. If you decide that you want to go with a God of the light, imagine if you have all the tools, put it in a position where you think the God of the light, when they come to the table, that it would be a good setting for them. So you have a God of the light. Then, if you look at the Lord's Prayer, which we talked about, then it's out of the kingdom, out of the heaven, come. So you got a God out of the kingdom, come. And then in our relationship, in our fellowship, I'm looking for bread. Okay, I'm looking for bread. Now, I'm running out of coffee. Now, if you're not of the light, it is very similar tools, different types of the individual tools, but it's ultimately the same. It's a relationship. Find a relationship. Then honor that relationship by setting the table and having a good fellowship. All of Old Testament, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all of them, King Solomon, Moses, they had a Lord, and when they wanted to communicate with that Lord, they built a table. That table and the decorations on that table to the spiritual side of the guest, we call that an altar. If it's a physical side of the guest, we call that dinner table. At the end of the day, it's a table that has tools that must be set in certain positions, must be presented. Then you can decorate it because you're the host and you're hoping that the guests will like the table setting. Okay? I know this is long, so I hope this is valuable to you. And I'm not going to get into the prayers within the book. That's something for you to look at later. But I think I'm completed with this one, and we'll move on to the next one. All right, guys, have a great time. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know somewhere. I don't know where. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, bye-bye.